Alrighty-roo. Let's get this thing going, shall we? And everything worked. Fantastic! Hello, everyone! Welcome to the Snowocalypse post-show for week 6/7. Because, yeah, we kind of had a week 6, but, you know, it got skipped over a little bit. Because it was an hour. So it's been a bit of a doozy for the last while in the Snowocalypse. Yeah, so as always, the usual warning goes here. I'm going to just tilt my screen down slightly. If you have not caught up on the Snowocalypse, I will be going through all of the spoilers. All of them. So, you know, if you don't want to be spoiled, go to YouTube, go watch the other ones. If you're watching the stream, they're down below, and the YouTube channel, if you're on YouTube. You can work this out, you're a smart person, I believe in you. Cool. So, in the last session, dear PCs, first we'll have a little discussion about basically how fucked the town is. I've just realised I've got my microphone in the wrong place. I'm a terrible person. Just the worst. Yes, so, Tudor, Lux, and Stein were discussing basically all the ways in which the town is breaking down in the wake of Tudor's reign, how they were running out of medical supplies, they had no doctor, and things were a little awful. At which point they were approached by a representative of Dr. Tessia to say, yo, we can give you medical supplies, you just have to let us medically screen all your citizens. That'd be fine, right? And so, yeah, they were like half-heartedly agreeing to this. Meanwhile, Midnight was meeting with Ella, leader of the mercenaries who kind of act as Cecil Rhodes' security forces. And they went up to him and were like, yo, Ella, please don't take loads of money now and stick around and keep us safe from all the bad people with guns. And Ella was like, yeah, lol, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you with a stick. And then tried to recruit her, because I think she was a little frustrated over what she did to Rourke, but at the same time recognised that Midnight is a lady with some talent. And then Midnight, instead of reacting well to this help, called upon Rachel's power and proceeded to tear Ella apart. She then fled to, under the control of Rachel, fled to Stein's workshop, killed Preed. Stein found them, panicked and freaked out. Lots of panicking and freaking out happened in the space of the workspace. Meanwhile, Stein and Lux hunted them down, knowing what had happened, using the power of the psychic senses. And, yeah. Actually, I've already done this bit. Whatever, fuck it. They all got such a big psychic glorp. And in this one, they all found their fantasy lives. Lux was free as a bird with a pretty girl and accepted and wonderful and riding off into the sunset. Except she kept having visions of murdering people and wanted to do violence. Tudor was king, with a wife who he unfortunately remembered as a childhood friend he'd completely forgotten about in the real world. And also that he seems to be being haunted by East Harrow's ghost, telling him to run. And Midnight was the head of a company that controlled, like, the world economy. But, was manufacturing a faulty product that caused murder hobo rages. And Stein was god of this strange dream world. For a while. And then everything went wrong. Midnight was boxed into a tiny little corner of her own little brain by Rachel, with Cecil for company. Stein was thrown from the center of that by multiple psychic forces converging there. Lux mutated into some gross nightmare creature and murdered the Midnight projection. And Tudor, well, his daughter's wedding day was covered by an avalanche. And then when he reached through the maelstrom and pulled Lux to him, Dr. Tessia arrived but then as he was about to do something, was struck down. Is my audio going in and out, or is that just my phone actually do so? Audio's okay? Sorry, there's audio difficulties apparently happening in the chat. Okay, we're fine. And yeah, we finished with Tudor, Lux, and Stein all having been reunited, all rather the worse for wear, in the just this circle of snow with the corpse of Dr. Tessia lying between them, and a projection of this girl Helen in Tudor's arms, and a great booming voice speaking from them to them from the snowstorm, talking about Empire. And Midnight, trapped in a room with the ghosts of Rachel pushing on all sides, shot herself in the head. We need to work out what the hell that's gonna do. So yes, let us have a look at some fronts and shit, because, you know, that's how we start with these things. So, start with fronts. We'll start with fronts, and then we'll go into how I think this next stuff's going to play out. So, let's have a look here. I think this may be happening, large-scale population death, because the Empire is in control of everyone's soul. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. All these might be linked, but we're going to see how the next part plays out before we get in there. I think technically she's accomplished this, but Rachel's fate is also rather uncertain, and this one we don't really care about. So we'll leave that one for now, because nothing's really changed in a way we know yet. Rourke's probably pretty dead. Irrelevant for now. Wintermute. This one has a big change, because Dr. Tessier, in their grand reveal to the world, in the bit where was my villain I've been building since the very first goddamn session, just wandered out and got attacked, and Tudor used his psychic powers to cause his death. So, boop. Gone. I was so looking forward to all the cool, crazy shit I was going to get up to using my weirdo, eugenicist, crazy man. But nope. Immediately murdered. Immediately murdered. But his effects on the world, less so. So we get to the one that is actually going to advance, I think. Here we go. The Eternal Blizzard. This one we're still waiting on. The Ice Switch, however, that one's definitely advancing. And I'll tell you how very shortly. And then finally, we have this one. Well, we'll see what the next step is. I need to work that out. And then we have Britannia Rules the Snows. Yeah, we've got Empire as what I've been calling it. This disembodied massive psychic will that's just trying to fuck with the world. So yeah, this one and this one are Ice Witch and Britannia Rules the Snows are the ones that are really going to tick over here. Because I think, basically, that we can actually change this one slightly to Tudor is crowned with power. And gains the needed power. So, who'd like to hear my theory over who the Ice Switch is and all that jazz? Who? Raise your hands. Raise your hands if you'd like to hear my theory. Or do you want to hear it then? I'll tell you. The Ice Witch is Helen. Tudor's old childhood friend and imaginary wife. is the Ice Witch, this crazed demon thing wandering the wastes. And you know why she's doing the thing she's doing? Because she's still cares about Tudor. So, we're going to rewind a little bit. Because I think... So, here's my insight. Tudor is a powerful psychic. Like, way more powerful than anyone else in the world. Like, logically speaking, he has +3 weird. That makes him amazing. So why is he so much cooler than everyone else? Is it just genetic fluke? Probably not. So here's my thinking. He wandered into the big eternal blizzard that surrounds London. He found himself a cool little crown lying on the floor. In search of Helen, yeah. And the process of picking it up, somehow Empire managed to like pass psychic power from one vessel to another. The first vessel being Helen, a normal human girl, into Tudor, making Tudor a larger-than-life, more powerful than ever psychic, and making Helen this kind of inverted husk of a creature. And I think that's left Helen with, like, she desperately wants to stop Empire, but she still cares about Tudor, which obviously puts her quite at loggerheads, because Empire needs Tudor and wants to make it their, like, mortal vessel and use him, basically. So what's going to happen is that I think Empire, now kind of in control of this mini, like, hole in reality that Stein has created, is going to attempt to blackmail the crew into coming and unleashing the storm and doing all that jazz and leading the grand colonization of Earth. And the Ice Witch is going to try and stop them. And I think we're going to see how that plays out. Because, here's a spoiler for you. Dr. Tessier pushes himself through the maelstrom. Our dear Lux runs up and tries to, like, claw him in half. But his psychic form doesn't respond to that. It's just like, yeah, I'm not actually here, I'm just projection. But using that act of aggression, Tudor activates his psychic powers to say, okay, one person will live through this, one person will die in this conflict. The person who will live is was his wife Helen, which means he's in some ways he's preserved that psychic projection of her within his own powers, because obviously she has a real body. And so I think he's got this, like, real version of Helen, the way she was, like, contained in him now. But also sometimes he reached out to the fake one, who we know had left the blizzard. Meanwhile, Dr. Tessier was doomed to die. So what I think happened is that in the physical realm, while Dr. Tessier is riding along in his snowmobile with all his freaks galloping next to him, is that our dear friend the Ice Witch popped up and ripped his heart out. And I mean that in a very literal sense. And absolutely killed him. And as another powerful psychic, I think she's going to find a way to take over Dr. Tessier's army. So I think there's going to be a sort of like, Tudor, don't make me have to stop you kind of deal. And I think it will interestingly divide the PC's opinions because, you know, they know that... Because she knows roughly that the Empire's plan is pretty bad. It's pretty evil. And the PCs will be half on the side of, like... I think each of them will be half on the side of, like, well, we want to help. Whatever they're being blackmailed with, which will probably be the life of Midnight in some respect. Some of them will be like, we want to save her. Some of them will be, we want to... we don't want to help a crazy psychic power end the world. And I think that's going to divide the PCs very interestingly. Because I don't necessarily... I think what you would expect is they'd be 50-50 on that. Of like, well, we want to save our friend, but bad juju. But I don't think anyone is necessarily exactly 50-50. I think Stein is like 90-10. Tudor, I'd say, is more on the side of saving Midnight because, you know, helping the Empire being crowned king kind of was his life goal. And yeah, finally our Lux on the other hand, Midnight obviously is all about saving Midnight. That's Midnight's #1 priority at all times is Midnight. So yeah, and Lux I think will be the wild card. But also it's going to give us a nice chance to see something different out of the players where they beat the ever-living shit out of stuff. It's going to be very cool. Very excited. So, she leaves the blizzard. So we know what happens here now. She, the next one, Control C, Control V. Gains control of the freaks. Which I mean Tessia's mutants. And she's already done that. The only one she doesn't necessarily have control of is Lux, who's, yeah, still only partially mutated. Let's actually have a look at how far Lux has been mutated, for that matter. Violent mood swings are definitely happening. I think this one we'll wait to see. Some small cosmetic changes have happened, like slightly longer arms, slightly strange like fingers that are hooked and stuff. We'll see if Lux makes a move. I think I'll give it to like if Lux takes serious injury, eating like living flesh will repair her. So it's kind of a thing of like die a human or live a monster. Because, you know, I'm all for giving those sorts of choices. And then once Lux goes past that point, it's just a ticking up to this. But we do have to go with stakes question I should put in. Untitled. Control. Oh, damn it. Select move. Delete. Control V. How did Helen gain control of the freaks? Because if she did it once, someone else could do it again. Someone else does know about the Will of Britannia's plans. That would be Helen. Can the Ice Witch create more of her kind? No. Because she was created by Empire. What is she taking from the victims? She knows one of the PCs. She knows Tudor. Will she be able to hurt Tudor? Can the PCs turn her back to human? And I think I know what she's taking from her victims. I think what she takes from her victims when she kills people is basically their psychic potential. I think what the Empire did to her was they scooped her out and left her this husk that, like, sustained by kind of psychic will almost. Oh, that was loud. Put that on silent. Sustained by psychic force and energy and like just the will of the Empire. Because maybe for some reason, if she died originally, the backlash would affect Tudor negatively. And they aren't going to mess with their host, their vessel. So, I just realised that my whole Tudor and the Empire thing is very Arthas and the Lich King. Interesting. So what she takes from people is she basically scoops out their like psychicness to fill this void in herself. But if everyone else is a bucket, she's a bucket with a hole in it. She slowly leaks it over time, so she has to keep hunting. Or she starts to... yeah, she starts to lose. Yeah, indeed. Empire created the... basically, they took two normal people. So this is the thing. Empire took two normal people. Whatever Tudor's name was before he was Tudor, and this young girl, Helen. and noting that for some reason Tudor was a better subject, they basically split. They like ripped the two of their souls apart and gave the lion's share of that, almost all of that power, to Tudor, and then suspended Helen in this state where she couldn't negatively affect Tudor. Tudor then left with no memories of this and went on to become the next future king, and Helen became this crazy husk wandering around. I think that's how that happened. And we'll see. I think there's going to be there's a war happening now where Helen has made her move. The steps have started towards Empire's endgame, and as such, Helen is going all in to stop them because she doesn't particularly like the crazy psychic will that tried to tear her apart. She's not a big fan of that. And yeah, the PCs are very much the deciding factor there. But I know we all want me to cover this person. So, Midnight. Who was Rachel? Still don't know. Was the Final Fantasy Tactics Control Panel? Don't know. Don't really care. Can Rachel be destroyed against her will? Not yet. Not yet. She can't. Is Rachel gone? And okay, so I think what happens, by the way. So we've had this tiny corner of Midnight's soul, which she destroys, essentially, when she kills herself. Now, in the Psychic Maelstrom, you can do impossible things on pure will alone, but that doesn't always work as you want, because, you know, some people aren't attuned to it. For instance, Midnight is not. So I think when she did it, she was, like, trying to kind of, like, empty her, like, vacate her soul for a moment and, yeah, regain control. Or maybe even just spitefully deny Rachel her soul. But I think what happened, because she is such a terrible psychic, is the Empire managed to grab her in this moment of, like, complete unspooling, and is now going to hold her hostage. And, yeah. I think that Rachel, having become so entrenched within Midnight's soul, is going to slowly resurface the more that Midnight is suffering. Just being asked in chat, what is Empire? Empire is the kind of the psychic will of, like, so when the world ended, a whole bunch of people died, and clinging around this horrendous doomsday weapon, a bunch of this was, like, trapped and rotated and until it became this will, this thing that had, like, this leftover pride and patriotism left over from kind of Great Britain and the Empire and all that jazz, and formed that into the core of some kind of personality. So it's not any one person. It's like the emotions of basically the city of London throughout history, all molded into one thing around this kind of, with at its core, this world-ending machine that we still don't know what it really does. So yes, I think the storm is a side effect. Machine. Do. And I'm gonna call it Excalibur because, yeah. Yeah. So they're gonna get at it. At its core, there's this strange world-destroying engine that has formed this being, this will power and all that jazz that just wants to. It wants the kind of the Empire thing. It wants to colonize, but the thing is, to colonize is to make things like yourself, right? When the British Empire went out and colonized people, they brought the things they liked. We It was like, okay, we're going to export to these races cricket. Not these races, these people cricket. Or the Roman Empire, when they colonized, they put in roads and their lifestyles, and you could be a Roman citizen if you wanted to, and you had to, like, do all this jazz. Like, empires bring their culture elsewhere. The only thing that this empire has is death. To colonize people, it has to kill them. And absorb them into itself. And yeah. That's what it wants to do. It wants to finish the job the apocalypse started. There we go. That's Excalibur. No, so that's Empire. Excalibur, we'll see exactly what that does. But yes, that's how the next session is going to roll out. Empire is going to blackmail blackmail the crew using the life of Midnight and possibly some other factors. Helen is going to put herself very much in the way of them accomplishing Empire's objectives. And Rachel will hover somewhere in there, messing with shit. It's gonna be big. It's gonna be big. Very excited. Very excited. So, I just realised I really should have a third thing on here where I just have, like, my face in big. Oh well. For next time. We'll wrap this one up here, because there isn't actually that much to say this time. I think we're moving into the end of this campaign. I don't see us going more than another 2 weeks. Maybe 3. But, yeah. Stuff is going to ramp up very rapidly. And I don't see all the PCs surviving it. Nor do I see me being necessarily the cause of why they don't. It'll be fun. If you are not caught up, you should go check the YouTube VODs. If you're on YouTube, obviously, just check around here. You should also, before the show tomorrow, Friday the 25th at 9 PM BST, British Summer Time, which I think is GMT +1. You should go to the Reddit thread. I have just posted it in the Twitch chat. It will also be in the description below to highlight stats for everyone. Next, if you do have questions for me about anything, if you want to explain things, like if I haven't been clear enough about characters, weird psychic shit, and if you're just like, wait, slow the hell down, just make a Reddit account, because seriously, I read that all the time. I will see those. I will respond to you during work. Like, just it will take you 20 seconds. Make a Reddit account, ask me questions. I love answering them. I literally had a question from someone in my Twitch inbox for 7 days. I just noticed it because I forgot to check my Twitch inbox because no one sends me Twitch messages. But, other role-playing game news. So, tomorrow, Friday the 25th of September, Snowocalypse. Immediately after this, so if you're watching on YouTube, this is irrelevant to you, but to you guys in the Twitch chat, I am going to be appearing on Encounter Roleplay to play some D&D in a West Marches style campaign. Gonna bring the crazy. I will also be being joined by our dear Johnny and Jamie of the Snowocalypse crew. So if you are on the YouTube, you should go to youtube.com/encounterroleplay or encounterrp. I'll probably have them in the sidebar of channels I like and stuff. And track down, episode 1 of the West Marches and watch it and tell them how great the 3 of us are. Because we're great. And finally, on Saturday the 26th, I'll be participating in a 24-hour role-playing stream on Encounter Roleplay as well, where I'll be running a Blades in the Dark one-shot with a bunch of those people, including Jamie, and we'll see who else. And also, if you're there and you like these role-playing games, you can win yourself a copy of the Dungeon Master... Not sorry, Dungeon Master, the Player's Handbook. Ugh. Sorry, Cecil. Which is this fabulous book here. That isn't fair enough. This is all of the rules of what you will need to know to play D&D 5e. It's a great little book with some really cool stuff in it. And yes, you should go check it. So you should come along for that. You should come along for other things. You should check out the stream. You should watch all the episodes. Do all of the social shit. Down in the description below on YouTube. Down in the panels below on Twitch. And I will see you all next time. Fare thee well.